Is it still prime time in Colorado if the coach's son and the most dynamic offensive player in college football last year and Travis Hunter are no longer with the Buffaloes in Boulder? That's the question to be answered tonight as I break down your Colorado Georgia Tech game. And FYI, Al DeMarco here, General Manager, DeMarcoSports.com. I am on a 59 and 29 roll with your complimentary plays here on my video reports. Hi, everyone. This is going to be your Friday video report. Now, last night, did I lose my complimentary play on Nebraska? Yes, I did. So after going 6-2 with my NFL preseason free plays, after going 3-0 last Saturday and the first round of complimentary college selections, I lost with Nebraska. It's the way it goes sometimes. I actually do lose some of the free plays. But I did recommend that you also really should consider playing Nebraska in a two-team 7-point teaser, taking Nebraska down to pick 'em. I didn't have a second team for you. I can't do it all for you. So hopefully you took that bit of advice. More importantly, last night, I hit my best bet with East Carolina, and the gambling gods were definitely smiling upon us because if you were with me, they were down 17-0 in the second quarter, put themselves in the position to actually force overtime on that final drive. Did it matter? I just wanted the game to be over. Getting 14, they only lost by 7. Now 2-0 after cashing in with my best bet last Saturday with Kansas. FYI, I was the #1 handicapper in college and pro football last year at DeMarcoSports.com. The big play tonight, by the way, and I'm going to break down this Georgia Tech Colorado game for you in just a second. But let me just give you a tip here. Rick Torino, who is 23-7 lifetime with his 100-dime all-in max wagers since joining the site. He has his first this season. It is on tonight's Georgia Tech Colorado game. And you can get that play and all the plays of all the handicappers for free tonight and another day by getting the 2-day free all access pass. If you've never taken advantage of it before over at DeMarcoSports.com, you can do so. Today, the all access pass costs $109. Tomorrow, it'll cost at least $109 too. You pick the 2 days. You can get all the plays for all the handicappers for free. Guys, I can't oversell the word free. Free means free, so check it out, the all access pass. Other sites are now copying it. I wish I had trademarked it or copyrighted it. Hey, but I'm the original. I've been doing it for 24 years. So get it now. Free all access pass over at DeMarcoSports.com. And without further ado, let's get to your complimentary play. Listen, I alluded to it in the opening. You don't take away from a Colorado offense that only has 3 starters back, Sanders and Hunter, and expect that offense to be that productive. It's not like Colorado ran the ball effectively in Coach Sanders' first 2 years, right? And the offensive line has been rebuilt. Now, did they go out and get a veteran quarterback? Yes, they did. And Salter from Liberty. But, last year wasn't as good of a year he had 2 years ago with the Flames. And they do have that incoming freshman, Julian Lewis, and both of them should see action here tonight. But again, I just question how good that offense will be. And my lasting impression of Colorado is how they got their asses kicked in that lousy, pathetic effort at the Alamo Bowl Dome last December. Or was that last January? No, it was last December or January. Doesn't matter. That's how forgettable the damn game was in San Antonio, okay? I look at this Georgia Tech team and I see a well-rounded team, a good team defensively, and a team that has a very good veteran quarterback in Haynes King, a guy who, despite some injuries last year, threw for over 2,100 yards, 14 touchdowns, ran for over 500 yards, averaging 4.7 yards per carry and 11 touchdowns, a team that can also run the ball effectively with Jamal Haynes, too. I think Georgia Tech deserves to be a favorite. Early in the week when Colorado was a 4.5 point favorite, Georgia Tech was a 4.5 point favorite, I thought that was a fair number. Now you see, as money has rolled in on Georgia Tech today at about 2 o'clock Eastern time, this line dropped down to 3.5. Well, you know why. Listen, Georgia Tech is the play, and you know what I'm about to say to you next. With this line between 3 and 4.5, you obviously buy down the half point on the Yellow Jackets. Now, when I look at the other games tonight, I can see San Jose State minus the 14 at home tonight against Central Michigan. This is a San Jose State team that averaged nearly 28.5 points a game last year, had the best passing offense in the Mountain West Conference, and it has most of the elements of that offense back. The defense gave up 27 points a game, but then again, played in the Mountain West, a high-powered offensive league, but it was a ball-hawking defense that forced 28 turnovers on the season. They have 13 bowl game starters back from that team a year ago, and I'm just not impressed at all with Central Michigan, a team that has a new head coach in Matt Drinkle, who was the Army offensive line coach a year ago. They only have 10 starters back, 3 on offense, 7 on defense. And that defense allowed 29.7 points a game a year ago, only forced 5 turnovers on the season last year. So the fact they've got 7 starters back from a defense that gave up nearly 30 points a game last year, is that anything to be positive about, to brag about? I don't think so. So again, and they're also breaking in a brand new offensive system. They're going to go with this variation of a pistol, shotgun, base, spread, option attack. Yeah, call me when that really gels, like 4 weeks from now. So if I had to say, if I had a second play tonight that I kind of like, it would be San Jose State minus the 14. But I will roll with my official complimentary play, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be Georgia Tech. Now, listen, there are a lot of games every single day that you're going to see that are extra games. We used to call them in the old days add-on games. Sometimes your bookie would offer them, sometimes they wouldn't. Nowadays, they're called extra games because some of your major sports books, especially those 2 big ones, and you know the ones I'm talking about, that cater to about 67% of the betting public in the 38 states that have online wagering, they get the online wagering business in those states, over 67% of it. They generally always carry these games. Like, for example, last night, if you had told me, or if I was talking to you and you'd said, there was one game that you absolutely love on the add-on card, how could you not take San Diego State minus 20 points over Stony Brook? You didn't even have to know anything about San Diego State or Stony Brook, other than know Stony Brook, based in New York, going to San Diego. Yeah, like Stony Brook wasn't going to get its asses kicked, and that's exactly what happened. They lost 42-0. So often there is value on these add-on games if you happen to be in a state that has online wagering and you have access to some of the big books. But again, I think that it often helps to analyze what happens in these add-on games. A lot of handicappers don't even pay attention to them, but these teams in these add-on games, they eventually play regular board games as the season progresses. So you have to look, because often it sets up potential wagers later in the season. So let me just give a couple of observations I made from last night's games. UAB played last night. Now, they had one of the worst coaches, and it was one of the worst hiring decisions made when they went out and hired Trent Dilfer, who was never prepared to be a college coach, and it's proven repeatedly. So they played Alabama State. They barely won 52-42. The defense gave up 414 yards and allowed Alabama State to convert 13 out of 15 on first down. It's Alabama State, for Christ's sake, and you barely beat them. This is why Trent Dilfer should just be canned. How he still has a job, he must have pictures. Okay, Oklahoma State. Now, you remember, Mike Gundy's team sucked last year. Well, they broke their 9-game losing streak last night by beating UT Martin. Yes, UT Martin, that noted football powerhouse, 27-7. They also lost their starting quarterback in that game to a broken foot. But still, you barely beat UT Martin at home 27-7. Houston played last night. They were hosting the Lumberjacks of Stephen F. Austin. No, not the $6 million man, Stephen F. Austin. They won 27-0. Okay, they passed for 159 yards. They ran for 160 yards. Willie Fritz, I mean, okay, you beat Stephen F. Austin. Big deal. Now, get to a game on the couple of games here on the big board last night. 2 teams that have been struggling offensively for how many years? Wisconsin, 17.5-point favorite, went off at 18, beat Miami of Ohio 17-0. Billy Edwards Jr., they brought him in from Maryland to be their latest quarterback. Last time Wisconsin had a good quarterback was, yeah, that'll be a Jeopardy answer. He got hurt. He leaves the game. MRI today says he's okay. Hopefully he'll be back the next game. They were only up 3-0 when he left. He was 6 for 13, 68. They brought in Danny O'Neal, who started 11 games for the San Diego State Aztecs last year. He was 12 for 19, 120. Again, Luke Fickell hasn't been able to come up with an offensive coordinator or a quarterback to make it work at the Badgers. Good thing he took the big money to leave Cincinnati because he'll soon be looking for a new job. Minnesota, year after year, dominate time of possession, dominate defensively, can't score any points. Minnesota beat Buffalo 23-10. Didn't come close to covering. But if I told you going into that game that the team playing Buffalo would have a time of possession of 38 and a half minutes, the team playing Buffalo would outgain the Bulls 443 to 151, do you think the team I was talking about would come even close to covering? No, 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 because it's Minnesota. So these are the things that you have to look at when you look at the games that are off the board, the add-on games, the extra games. And it's also the thing I look at because I read every single box score and every single recap because it's not necessarily for what happened, but it sets up potential bets later in the season. Yeah, I realize you don't have the time, but again, this is what I do for a living. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Saturday.